On a hot summer night in 1988, Jane Borowski was stabbed 27 times by an unknown man. She was 7 months pregnant.
My name is Jane Borowski. I survived, and I remember everything.
Jane is the lone survivor of the Valley Killer, who prowled the borderland of Vermont and New Hampshire and murdered at least 8 other women. I'm your host, Jennifer Emel, and this is Dark Valley. Jane and I didn't set out to solve this, but in the course of a 2-year investigation, this happened.
The police aren't going to be happy with me sharing this, but it's not about secrets anymore. It's not about hiding. And connecting this person not only to my sister's murder, but to the other murders as well.
Join the search for America's unknown serial killer. Listen and subscribe to Dark Valley, out now.
Hi, human. Welcome to the God Pod. I'm God, and like Jesus, I'm hanging in there.
If you like interviews with the most interesting people alive or dead, then you'll love the God Pod.
Here's me talking to Mary Trump about her crazy uncle.
I knew he was going to be disastrous.
And here's me debating a real live atheist.
You really cannot make the case that this is a good book.
I discuss all the latest current events down on Earth.
Find the God Pod wherever you get podcasts.
The God Pod. Have it Yahweh.
Our God is an awesome God, He reigns from heaven above with wisdom, power, and love. Our God is an awesome God.
Gotta ask, was that by memory, or did you actually pull up the lyrics on your computer?
I can't tell you that.
Trade secrets.
But today, we will find out just how awesome our God is. But first, let me welcome you to our awesome podcast, the Tennis Podcast. My name is Nick Emel. Every week on Tennis Podcast, either myself or my rotating panel of disciples or sidekick hosts bring a top 10-ish list on any topic on God's green earth, and the other tries to guess the list with no prior knowledge of the topic. Today, I'm once again joined by lifelong friend and frequent sidekick host and devoted disciple, Alex Johns.
I cannot wait to find out what this list is. I'm already pumped. Let's fucking
Alex.
go.
Well, hang on now, bub. It's been a minute since you were on the show. Last time you were here, we talked most walkable cities in North America. That was episode 210.
Good list.
If the listeners have been missing, well, it was all right. If the listeners have been missing their fill of Alex Johns, then check out our recent bonus episode on Tennis Pod Plus, where we covered the history of human shit. Literally, human sewage and sanitation. That was a bonus episode.
It's pretty good too.
Alex, do you consider yourself a religious, godly man?
Yes.
Tell the folks at home a little bit about your history with the Christian faith.
Oh, the Christian faith. Oh, no. I worship Nick Emel of the Tennis Podcast.
Okay. Yeah. And you have an altar, and
Yeah.
you have every Sunday morning you worship at the altar.
Every Sunday morning, I open up my peanut butter. I slap it on a big butt, and we...
Slap it on a big... Now, I've never endorsed that, sir. You're combining two loves that don't belong together.
Right. No, but to answer your question, was raised in the Lutheran church. Pretty devout, pretty much all through high school. And then like most heathens, I went to college and figured it wasn't for me anymore.
So I was not a Lutheran, but I did grow up in the Christian church for my whole life. It was actually you, me, and our mutual friend, Dr. Buster, all collectively, I want to say like within the same month or so, started questioning the faith. I want to say maybe I was age 20, 21, something like that.
What would you say your catalyst was?
Well, I'm glad you asked. I don't know if you know this, but it's actually something you shared with me. I cannot remember the specifics. I don't remember if you shared it specifically with me or if it was like a Facebook post that I saw, but I clicked on it and it was like breaking down. I wish I could remember the specifics, but what I remember most is it was breaking down why Jesus' sacrifice and God's sacrifice of dying on the cross was not all that impressive because, he's immortal. He went to heaven 3 days later. He just basically took a weekend off. He didn't really sacrifice that much anyway. You shared that, and that made me for the first time think about the crucifixion in a way I hadn't thought about before. And then that just gets the ball rolling. And then I remember it wasn't long after that, I told Buster, again, I think we were like 21 or so.
Yeah.
I told Buster that I was having these thoughts, and he looked at me and said, I've been having the exact same thoughts. So, yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
It's all thanks to you. I'm going to hell thanks to you.
Yeah. Back in those days, like fresh in disbelief, it was all about just like, oh, I got to get the word out, right? I got to let everyone know how smart I am and all this stuff. These days, I'm just like, I don't know, let people believe what they want to believe as long as they're not hurting anyone.
For sure. I've said this, so it might have been a bonus episode, like a Q&A, I said this, but for you and me and others like us, when you grow up in a religion like that, for most of your life, it becomes like, I don't want to sound like melodramatic, but it's like having the shackles released.
Yeah.
Like you can finally see the world for what it is. And it's like you have a whole new perception of the world that you weren't allowed to have before. And so you want to talk about it with people. You want to like explore your newfound belief system. And so it comes up a lot because most of the people in my family are still religious. So I'm still around it a lot.
Yep, same.
So it's nice to have an outlet such as this podcast right now to take a deeper dive. Alex, how familiar are you with the 10 Commandments?
I would say
You think you could name all 10?
Oh, gosh. I could probably
Don't
name
do it
most
now,
of them.
but just-
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's the list. You're going to guess all 10 commandments today.
Oh, boy.
And we're going to talk about each commandment, interpretations of that commandment, what it meant when it was originally written, what it means today, all of that.
Okay. I'm excited. This is going to be a good list.
Yeah.
It's funny, like, obviously, like, I like Bible trivia, despite being a non-believer and thinking all that stuff is, untrue. It's still fun. I think because I spent so much time of my childhood knowing about Bible trivia.
I agree. And I think part of it for me on my side is the Bible is a religious historical document as well. Not that everything within it happened,
Right.
as it says, but it was people at some point wrote these things down. They may have believed them all. They may have not.
Yep.
They may have been metaphors. They may have thought they were real, whatever. This is recording human thought process over, hundreds if not thousands of years. And it's all collected for us now. It's also an interesting window into seeing how people of those ancient times tried to explain events. So like a giant flood happens or something, and they kind of reverse engineer. Well,
Yep.
that must have been God doing this or that.
God did it.
Mm-hmm.
You ever heard of the God of the Gaps theory?
No.
So essentially, as human knowledge increases, the gaps of what we don't know decrease. And that gap has always been what God is. So like back in the early days when we didn't know shit, everything was God. But like
You're shitting in the streets.
shitting in the streets, don't even know how to wipe their own ass.
Yep.
But as time passes and we shrink that gap, that little gap is where God lives. Anyway.
I remember seeing this a while ago. This is not new, but there's an image on the internet of like a chart of religious experiences, like supernatural phenomena.
Yep.
And it's like all this crazy chart activity, and then you get to the invention of the camera, and then it just stops. No more miracles, no more supernatural events.
Funny how that works.
So, you gotta ask.
Yeah.
Alex, today I'm pulling from Britannica.com, BibleInfo.com, which is a pro-Bible, like pro-Christian website, and then Wikipedia.org, our friends there. I'm going to talk a little bit about the 10 Commandments. It's a set of biblical principles relating to ethics and worship that play a fundamental role in Judaism and Christianity. According to various passages in Exodus and Deuteronomy, the 10 Commandments were divinely revealed to Moses on Mount Senai and were engraved on 2 tablets of stone. I'm going to go through that whole story here in a minute. Archaeologists Israel Finkelstein and Neil Asher Sibelman argue that the astonishing composition came together in the 7th century BC. There's, of course, dispute about that, but a lot of scholars agree it's around 7th century BC that the 10 Commandments became a thing. So that's almost 3,000 years ago, roughly.
7th century, so like 700 BC-ish?
Yeah.
Okay.
So 700 years plus 2,023 years. So
yeah, just under 3,000.
About 2,700 years. So I thought this was interesting. I didn't know this. So we just agreed that around 3,000 years ago is when most historians agree the 10 Commandments became a thing. But the 10 Commandments had no particular importance in Christian tradition until the 13th century. So that's the 1200s AD. That's, over 2,000 years after the 10 Commandments.
Interesting.
They were incorporated into a manual of instruction for those coming to confess their sins. With the rise of Protestant churches, new manuals of instruction in the faith were made available, and the Ten Commandments were incorporated into catechisms as a fundamental part of religious training, especially of the young.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
It's interesting that Jesus had already been dead for 1,200 years when the Ten Commandments in the Christian faith became particularly important. I think in the Jewish faith it was always that way, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point, because like the Christian faith branched off of the Jewish faith with Jesus, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't instant. So like at what point did everyone just realize that like, oh shit, this was the Son of God, we're going to start our own religion now?
I think it's...
Or was it instant?
Like,
I mean, I guess he had his followers.
He had his followers, he had his disciples, much in the same way that you are a disciple of mine. He
Right.
had 12 disciples.
Right.
And I think there were groups of people because he like gave sermons and stuff at that time, Jesus did. So there was a pocket of people that believed. I would guess it was a vocal minority.
Yeah.
And then once he died, the legend kind of started to take off, is my interpretation. And this is a good segue into something I wanted to be sure to say. Just remember, listeners out there, that me and Alex are not biblical scholars. We're not historians. So we're going to do our best today. I pulled a lot of information off the internet. If I get something wrong or misinterpret something, don't crucify me like you did my boy Jesus. Just, we're going to do our best.
That was Pontius Pilate.
I also think it's super fascinating, not to get off topic, but I don't believe Jesus was supernatural. I don't believe he rose from the dead or any of that. But historians agree that Jesus was a man that lived on earth, and he was crucified, right?
Right.
The dispute is not that. The dispute is whether or not he was who he said he was.
His divinity.
Yeah, I've always found it super interesting. Like, this is almost like a movie idea or something, but like, Jesus, was he aware at the time he was full of shit? Kind of like a modern cult leader? Or did he truly believe in his shit and he was like mentally unwell?
Yeah.
Also like some cult leaders, you know?
That would be an interesting movie. Imagine that getting greenlit.
Yeah. No. Instead, we got Passion of the Christ 2 to look forward to.
Oh, thank God.
All right, Alex, I'm going to recap the story of the Ten Commandments according to the Bible. This is an extremely brief version. The biblical narrative of the revelation at Mount Senai begins in Exodus chapter 19 after the arrival of the children of Israel at Mount Senai. So remember, Moses led his people out of Egypt, and they were wandering around in the desert for I don't know how long. I want to say like 40 years or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I think it was.
So around this time, on the morning of the third day of their encampment, there were thunders and lightnings, and a thick cloud upon the mount, and the voice of the trumpet exceeding loud, and the people assembled at the base of the mountain. And the Lord said unto Moses, Come to me. Sorry.
Who's coming?
Come up to me.
Oh.
Come up to me into the mount, and be there, and I will give thee tablets of stone, and a law, and commandments which I have written, that thou mayest teach them. Moses rose up and his minister Joshua, and they went up to the mountain God. So they went up to the top of the mountain. And it says, and this is in Exodus in the Bible, that the mount was covered by the cloud for 6 days. And on the 7th day, Moses went into the midst of the cloud and was in the mount 40 days and 40 nights. So they're in the desert 40 years, but he's been in the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights.
Yeah.
And Moses said after that the Lord delivered unto me 2 tablets of stone written with the finger of God. So the story is that Moses goes up to the mountain because God boomed through the loud PA system in the desert to come on up.
Yep.
And Moses gets up there and God takes his divine finger and carves in stone the 10 Commandments right there. Are you with me so far, Alex?
Yeah, I do the same thing. Like, you know, when your car window is foggy and you can like take your finger and kind of write, you know, I do the same thing there.
Have you ever written commandments to like guide the principles of human civilization for the next 5,000 years in your car window fog?
Mostly it's just shit posting.
Okay. Well, maybe God was shit posting too, and he didn't think Moses would take this shit seriously. But God was wrong. So Moses is up there 40 days while this shit's happening. And it's unclear to me if God was taking 40 days to slowly carve his finger through those stones or what. Doesn't really say.
It's probably a slow process.
Yeah. While that's all happening, before Moses returns down the mountain, the children of Israel, the people he saved out of Egypt, they collectively decide that something had happened to Moses, and one of the main guys there, Aaron, his name is, they had him fashion a golden calf, and he built an altar before it, and the people worshipped the calf.
I fucking love that story.
So many questions about that.
Your leader is gone for 40 days and you just don't know what the fuck to do. So you make your own god and start worshiping a golden calf. Great.
And it's like, do you think the golden calf is divine? Like, what's the thought process? There's no logic to it, Alex.
Just a bunch of fucking dummies. I don't know. Someone else take it upon yourself to make a decision.
Well, Moses comes down. He's fucking pissed. He sees this golden calf. And they come down with the tablets of stone, and Moses is starting to tell them, well, here's what it says, actually. It says, and it came to pass, as soon as Moses came nigh unto the camp, that he saw the calf and the dancing, because apparently they were dancing around this calf. Moses' anger waxed hot, and he cast the tablets out of his hands and brake them beneath the mount. So he throws the tablets down out of anger. The tablets that he just spent 40 days with the hand of God creating. That's no small thing. He throws them down and says, God damn it! But then it's all cool because God rewrote the commandments on new tablets. And those tablets were later placed in the Ark of the Covenant. So God did a do-over on that. And I don't have this written down, but I remember that Moses and God, they melted the golden calf down and they poured the melted gold down the throats of everyone who was worshiping it, the golden calf.
It's fucking metal.
Literally. Also fucked up.
Moses got anger issues, fucking smashing stones, pouring gold down people's mouths.
Yeah.
You know, a good therapist would have gone a long way back then.
Therapy was of the devil.
Yeah, true.
Alex, obviously.
True.
So that's the 10 commandments. Now, their order doesn't really matter. They're all 10 equal commandments, I think, for the most part.
Right.
But you are going to guess the order of appearance in the Bible. So the first commandment that is spoken is number 1 on my list.
Okay.
All right, Alex.
Am I ready to start?
Go ahead.
All right.
Go
So
ahead.
I will start on the topic of the golden idol. I know there's a specific commandment that says, thou shalt not have any idols or like any other gods before me or something like that.
That is 2 separate commandments. Let's start with the idols.
Okay.
You shall make no idols is number 2 on our list.
Yeah, that's pretty high up for something so, I don't know. Seems like there's a lot of other stuff that would be more important than that.
No, not to God. Because the number 1 and 2 commandment and 3 and 4 actually are all about how you better not piss God off.
He's a little baby bitch.
The stuff about murder and stealing and adultery, all that comes way later in the list. Number 2, you shall make no idols. It says in the Bible, Exodus chapter 20, verse 4 through 6, you shall not make for yourself a carved image, any likeness of anything that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. You shall not bow down to them or serve them. For I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God. Let's just stop there. So God's a jealous God.
He just full out and says it. He's just like, I'm jealous. Deal with it. Yeah, I mean, this is like those women that is like, you know, if you can't handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best. That's basically God.
That's God. Life sucks and then you die. That's God's plan.
Yep.
You have this life of suffering and torment. Children are dying of brain cancer. And that's God saying, hey, bro, if you handle me at my worst, you don't deserve me at my best up here in heaven. But guess what? The reward when you get to heaven is just worshiping God for eternity.
Yeah.
That's literally what it says in the Bible.
Not even that great.
In heaven, you just worship all time. It's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Also, it was interesting how it said, like, you should not, like, carve any likeness of heaven. But, like, people make, like, angel carvings all the time. I don't know, even the cross that people make, you know, that could be construed as an idol. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sounds like people aren't really following this one.
Fucking all of them, Alex. People aren't following any of them. Okay, so the Bible is actually not super specific in what it means by idols, but here's some clues weaving throughout the Bible that this is kind of the summary. Idolatry may be summarized as the strange worship of idols or images, the worship of polytheistic gods, by use of images or idols, the worship of created things like trees, rocks, animals,
Butts,
peanut butter, or another human being, and the use of idols in the worship of God. This is going to come up a lot, but historically, especially around the time that this was written in the Bible, punishment for idolatry was often death. So if you were found with idols, if you were found with a golden calf, as those people found out that got the gold poured down their throat, the punishment was death.
Here's the thing, though. Like, the commandments weren't written when they did that. So, like, isn't there, like, a statute of limitations? You know, they didn't know that they can't have idols. No one told them.
But how are you going to prove that you made this idol before the 10 Commandments? And also, it's such bullshit, too, because what if you've never even heard of the Bible back in fucking 500 BC or whatever? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, shit out of luck.
And that's another thing with the whole idea of like, you can't enter the kingdom of heaven unless you accept Jesus as your Lord and Savior. What if you've never heard of Jesus?
Right.
What if you grew up Jewish?
That was one of the key questions that sparked me like losing my faith.
Mhm.
Just like, that's fucked up. It's not their fault.
Religion falls apart really quickly when you start asking very simple questions like that.
Yeah.
The thing is that most religions, and my upbringing and yours, I'm sure, you were not supposed to ask questions.
Mm-mm.
Asking questions was a sin because you're
Yeah.
questioning God.
The answer would always be the Lord works in mysterious ways.
Yep.
It just didn't work for me.
So you can go through your whole life, if you're brought up in the church, and never ask these questions. And if someone like me or Alex were to say, hey, have you thought about this? Your mind's immediately shut off to that.
Yep.
Because you don't want to hear that.
Yep.
It traps you.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we'll save some people here today, Alex.
Maybe.
In a number of places in the ancient texts, they assert that God has no shape or form and is utterly incomparable.
Sounds like Dr. Buster.
Buster himself theoretically takes no shape or form, but his ass takes the form of
that golden idol?
fucking that golden idol. When that booty starts clapping, his ass like transforms into a golden idol that you can't help but stare at and just worship.
Fucking Moses comes down with his stone tablets and sees his followers booty clapping. He's fucking slamming that thing on the ground again.
The Bible was not specific in what type of dance they were doing around the idol when Moses came back down. They were either booty clapping or doing the stanky leg. I'm saying it here. Well, anyway, so they say God has no shape or form, and thus, if you create an idol or image or idea that tries to capture God's essence, that's a sin because you can't know what God looks like.
But you and I both know God looks like Morgan Freeman.
That's right. Listener of the show. Paul the Apostle identifies the worship of created things rather than the creator God as the cause of disintegration of sexual and social morality in his letter to the Romans.
Oh, shit.
So it's because of these idols, Alex, that we have sexual and social morality running fucking down the toilet today.
What a shame.
What a shame. That's number 2. You shall make no idols. Are you sick of feeling sluggish and low energy? Or maybe you wake up feeling like you didn't get enough sleep. This message is for you, dear sleep-deprived, low-energy listener. Our partner, Athletic Greens, makes it easy to cover your nutritional basis every day. AG1 by Athletic Greens is so powerful because it's so easy to fit into your lifestyle. Personally, I take AG1 every morning to start my day. It gives me a boost of energy, supports my immune system, helps me get a better night of sleep, improves digestion, and more. Plus, it tastes great. Why take a bunch of different things when you can just mix 1 scoop of powder in water once a day? With AG1, taking good care of my body each day is really that simple. But enough of me blabbering. It's time for you to see for yourself. If you're looking for an easier way to take supplements, Athletic Greens is giving you a free 1-year supply of vitamin D and fire-free travel packs with your first purchase. Go to athleticgreens.com/tennish. That's athleticgreens.com/10ISH. Check it out. And remember, when you get your AG1, not only will you be supporting your body, but you'll be supporting Tennish Podcast as well. Get started now at athleticgreens.com/tennish.
This podcast is brought to you by Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion, now streaming only on Disney+. Nick Fury has returned in his most thrilling mission yet. An invasion is here, and there's no telling who the invaders are. They can take the form of anyone and have infiltrated our society and government at the highest levels. The only thing we do know, trust no one. Trust nothing. In Marvel's most riveting series yet, prepare for war. Prepare for fury. In Marvel Studios' Secret Invasion. Don't miss the 6-episode event now streaming only on Disney+.
I'm Richard Serrett. Join me on Strange Planet for in-depth conversations with the world's top paranormal investigators, alien abductees, Bigfoot trackers, monster hunters, time travelers, and more.
The handler one day told her this whole thing about how they've been terraforming on Mars and they're building a colony and they're recruiting specific people of specific bloodlines and specific talents and skill sets to go onto the planet.
On Richard Serrett's Strange Planet, we're redefining reality. Listen now wherever you get your podcasts.
All right, so where was the shall have no other gods before me?
Well, Alex, 'cause we're talking about the most selfish, self-centered being that's ever existed.
That's got to be number one.
It's got to be number one. You shall have no gods before me is number one. It's in Exodus chapter 20, verse 3, and it just says simply, you shall have no other gods before me. Me being a capital M, of course.
Of course.
Christian theologians teach that the commandment applies in modern times and prohibits the worship of physical idols, the seeking of spiritual activity or guidance from another source, such as magical or astrological, and the focus on temporal priorities such as self, food, physical pleasures, work, and money, for example. So to me, this is pretty similar to the idols one.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was the same one.
Mm-hmm. It's basically just no God before me, which doesn't necessarily mean a literal God of like another religion. It just means, money could be, you're putting money before God, for example.
I see.
And the biblical prophets Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and Hosea referred to Israel's worship of other gods as spiritual adultery. So you're actually having an affair on God when you worship other gods, Alex.
God's getting cucked.
He loves it. And this will make sense because, above all else, God is a completely insecure, selfish asshole.
Yeah. Time and time again, it just keeps revealing itself.
And I'm trying not to be unbearable on this podcast, so tell me if I need to reel back a little bit. But to me, it's so frustrating to hear about God's grace, God's mercy, God's love. Isn't God great? Can't wait to be in heaven with God. And all this time, if you sin and don't beg God for forgiveness, you're going to hell. If you haven't heard of God because of where you live or how you were brought up, you're going to hell. If you dare to be born on this earth, you could become a child with brain cancer. But it's just part of God's plan. If you pray to God to cure the cancer, He was the one that gave the kid cancer in the first place. So you're just praying God to take back what here. It's just
what kills me is when someone has a successful surgery or successful operation and everyone's like, oh, thank God for healing him. Just like, bitch, God's the one that fucked him up.
God's the one that did it.
The doctors fixed him.
What about if that surgery didn't go well? Or the life-saving medicine doesn't help and you die or you're sick forever? And you prayed to God, well, and if God doesn't come through, then what? Then it's,
not
it's
his
just
fault.
part of his plan.
Yep.
Yeah. God gets just a free pass to do whatever he wants, good or bad, and it's just all good.
The whole relationship just feels like Stockholm Syndrome.
Totally. It's born out of the fact of the time this shit was written.
Yeah.
Thousands of years ago, it was a different world, and that's why they created the New Testament, because they realized we got to pull back on some of this Old Testament shit, which we're going to talk about later.
Yeah.
And even the New Testament comes back on a lot of that, but even New Testament God can fucking kiss my ass too.
Yeah, they're all a bunch of bitches.
I'm sorry. All right, I'm sorry.
All right, back to the list. All right, so we got number 1, shall have no other gods. 2, make no idols. Where is thou shalt not kill?
So to me, this should be number 1.
Yeah.
But it's number 6, you shall not murder.
Not so important.
Comes from Exodus chapter 20, verse 13. It says simply, you shall not murder. In fact, it's the shortest commandment of all of them. The commandment against murder can be viewed as a legal issue governing human relationships, noting that the first 4 commandments relate strongly to man's duty to God, like I was saying, and the latter 6 commandments describe duties toward humans. Commandments 1 through 4 is it's all about God. Commandments 5 through 10 are all about how you treat each other. According to the Book of Numbers, killing anyone outside the context of war with a weapon or in unarmed combat is considered some word called retzak. Even accidental killing, or thou shalt not kill, is expressly prohibited in Numbers chapter 35, verse 33. If the killing is accidental, the accused must flee to one of the cities of refuge and remain in that city until the high priest dies, or the revenger of blood can kill the accused with no legal repercussions.
Oh, fuck. Eye for an eye.
It's basically back in this time. I don't have a year, but it's before Jesus' time. If you killed someone on accident, that was still breaking a commandment, and you had to flee the city, and that person that died by accident, their family member can come kill you with no legal repercussions.
Fucked up. That's not justice.
I don't know.
That's revenge.
That's justice for God, sounds like.
It's kind of fucked up that there's an exception for war.
Product of the times.
Yeah,
because there was war all the time.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what it is. These kings that wanted to conquer and take over new places, new land, they had to have an excuse for why it was okay that they were sending all these people to war.
Yep, had to bake in that exception.
Yep.
Just like how today the rich aren't fucking paying taxes, but the fucking poor have to.
Oh, I'm going to get Alex started on
Oh, here we fucking go.
All right. Well, the Torah and the Hebrew Bible made clear distinctions between the shedding of innocent blood versus killing as the due consequence of crime. A number of sins were considered to be worthy of the death penalty, including... So this is the list of death penalty crimes.
Oh, this will be good.
Murder? Okay. Incest? I don't know. Bearing false witness or perjury.
Okay.
Adultery.
Okay.
Idolatry, so you create an idol.
Yep.
Bestiality, because you know so many people were having sex with chickens and goats and shit. You just know that was happening all the time. They had to add that in.
Mm-hmm.
Child sacrifice to pagan gods. I'll accept that one. All right, now here's the ridiculous ones. Cursing a parent.
Oh.
So if you have a disagreement with your parent and you say, "Curse you, father," you could be put to death. Fortune telling.
Okay.
Homosexuality. Of course.
Of course, right.
There's other sins too, but those are the main ones. But let's talk about Jewish law, because Jewish law views the shedding of innocent blood very seriously and lists murder as one of 3 sins, along with idolatry and sexual immorality, that fall under the category of some Jewish phrase I'm not going to try to say, meaning one should let himself be killed rather than violated. So if you were to do one of those 3 things, murder, make an idol, or be sexually immoral, you should die rather than do those things.
Okay.
According to Jewish law.
Fair enough.
Fair enough.
What if you do all 3 at once? Fucking legend.
Well, I was going to say to kill yourself 3 times, but you'd have to be Jesus and come back each time.
Yeah.
And kill yourself again. Yeah. What do you think, Alex? I know it's just a wild guess. You and I have no way of knowing, but did Jesus know he was full of shit at the time?
I think he believed his own shit.
I lean that way too.
I'm of the impression that he had something wrong up here and, really thought he was talking to God and really thought he was God and was charismatic enough that he convinced enough people.
The only thing is like bringing the people back from the dead, curing blindness and that stuff. He has to either lie about those things happening or his disciples have to like make it look like it happens and Jesus isn't even in on it. You know what I mean? Like there has to be at some point, whether Jesus is involved or not.
I'm sure in that day and age, it was so easy to just fake stuff.
Right, but was Jesus in on the con is the question.
Oh, I see what you're saying. Because he was claiming that he did those things. Okay.
There'd be a blind man and he'd put his hand on their head and they could see again.
Right.
So either that blind man was not really blind. Like, did Jesus know that? Or did everyone tell Jesus, no, this guy's really blind, Jesus, you cured him. It's just...
Or,
I don't know.
Like you said, maybe this is his disciples just making shit up to, like, get more followers, Yeah. I don't know.
It really is no different than a cult. And really, the only difference between a religion and a cult is the religion is, like, socially accepted.
Yeah. There is no difference. Like, it's the same.
There is no difference. Yeah.
Potato, potato.
You're following a charismatic leader.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I remember this from my days in church, where the church would define the difference between a cult and organized religion.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and it was what I was told was that a cult utilizes a supplemental or different book than the Bible. And that's like the big difference, right? Because that question came up. I don't know if it's like Sunday school or like Wednesday night church or something.
So then Muslims are a cult, but not...
Yeah, that's where it starts to break down. I'm just like, I mean,
yeah,
really?
Right, because they have the Quran, or, I mean, that's a problem with all these religions, Muslims and Christians and Jewish, all of them. It's like their religion's the right one, and everyone that's not doing our religion is wrong.
Mm-hmm.
But like, says who?
I mean, you and I know the 10-ish podcast religion is the one true religion.
I'm thinking of having you crucify me on a cross just to get the point across.
Yeah.
We'll live stream it on YouTube.
You'll come right back. I know you will.
Well, we'll find out. And you can watch me be crucified at youtube.com/10ishpodcast.
All right, so I've got 3 down so far. What else do I know is on that list? Shall not murder, shall not commit adultery, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where's that?
That's number 7.
Okay.
Right under murder. And the shit that's ahead of murder is fucking ridiculous, but we'll get to that. So, you shall not commit adultery, number 7, from Exodus chapter 20, verse 20. You shall not commit adultery, it's all it says.
Yeah.
And this is from BibleInfo.com. This is a pro-Christian website. I thought this was hilarious. So this is their explanation of the 7th commandment. Do we need greater regard for the sanctity of the home today? Do we need Honest obedience to marriage vows. Do we need more husbands and wives true to each other? What is the answer? You know the answer. It is yes! 1,000 times yes! Exclamation point.
I'm hyped up just listening to that. I just want to go honor my wife right away.
Well, that's weird because I read that and I want to dishonor my wife. Am I right? In the Gospels, Jesus affirmed this commandment against adultery and seemed to extend it further, but he said, quote, "But I say to you, anyone who looks on a woman to lust after her has committed adultery with her already in his heart."
Oh, shit.
Right? Even if you don't physically commit adultery, if you even think about it, motherfucker, your ass is breaking a commandment and sorry, you're going to hell.
You can't control what you're thinking about, though.
Well,
I don't know. That's fucked up.
If you have Jesus in your heart, Alex, then he'll help you out.
I guess.
But that's the fucking shit, man. Even the most devout religious people in the world, the most serious religious people in the world, any religion, every single one of them is a human being with sexual desires.
Yeah.
So like these priests and whomever else that are telling you not to do this, they're fucking doing it. They can't help it.
Yeah.
It's human nature.
Problem is putting Jesus in their heart. You got to put Jesus in your butt.
You got to put him in your butt. Alex?
You know I'm onto something.
This is profound. That should be a commandment.
This is going to be one of the tenets of the Tennis religion.
Make sure at all times Jesus has a place in your butt.
Right.
I like it. In the times of Jesus, both parties of adultery were to be punished by death.
Both parties? Okay.
If you were having an affair, the person you were having an affair with, you'd both be put to death. However, there is a famous story in the Bible in the book of John about a woman caught in the act of adultery. She was brought to Jesus for his judgment, and this is where Jesus said, quote, "Let him who is without sin cast the first stone." So that originates from this story. He did not condone adultery, but he did warn the woman when she left. He said, "Go and sin no more." So he let her go.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty chill.
Pretty chill.
Jesus was chill. Well, I mean, a lot of the stuff he said was fine. As God is the one that had all the bullshit rules and all this stuff.
Well, according to the New Testament and the Holy Trinity, God and Jesus were the same person.
Yeah.
They were one person. They were the same.
And the Holy Spirit, too.
Yep. What you said is mostly right. Jesus was a pretty chill dude, and he said a lot of shit that is good to hear.
Yeah.
You know, good lessons, good.
You know, he said that, like, rich people should give their money to the poor and, like, you know, I don't know, just be good to each other.
And he was accepting of everyone. This woman was committing adultery.
If Jesus came back today, the fucking Republican Christian church would label him as too woke and like would not.
Oh, 100%. 100%. Because he would embrace, maybe not embrace, but he would accept everyone from the LGBTQ community.
He would allow trans people to exist.
He would speak out against the mega rich hoarding from the rest of us.
Yep.
He would speak out against people being hungry.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of things Jesus said that we should take to heart, but the things that modern right-wing Christians,
evangelicals,
religious people, evangelicals want to cling to is the hateful shit, the negative shit.
Yep.
Anti-gay, like that's the shit they focus on.
Yep.
Which is like 1% of what Jesus ever said. I don't even know if Jesus said, "Don't be gay."
No, he never did.
I think that all stems from like one Old Testament verse that is open to interpretation.
Yep.
If I recall.
Yeah. Fucked up.
Alex, how many times have you committed mental adultery today?
Oh, gosh. The limit does not exist.
Alex. Better hope Mrs. Alex isn't listening. All right, give me another guess.
Okay, so commit adultery is on there. Is there a thou shalt not rape?
No, but that's better than a lot of this other shit we're going to talk about.
So raping is okay. Got it.
Think about what would piss off small dick God.
Okay, yeah, we can go back to the top 4. No other gods, no other idols. What else would piss him off?
The top of this show, you told me you thought you could guess all these.
I thought I could too, yeah. I don't know, give me a hint.
The 7th day, God took a rest, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Because he created the universe in the first 6 days. So keep the Sabbath day holy is the 4th commandment.
Gotcha.
Exodus chapter 8, verses 8 through 11 says, "Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the 7th day is the Sabbath of the Lord your God."
The 7th day, you are not getting a chicken sandwich.
Don't get me started on Chick-fil-A's bullshit. Do you know how many times I've been like driving and I see a Chick-fil-A and I'm like, oh, go get some Chick-fil-A. And it's fucking Sunday.
It's fucking Sunday every fucking time.
It's like the only time I want a Chick-fil-A is it's Sunday, on a Sunday. So keep the Sabbath day holy is in recognition of God's act of creation and the special status that God had conferred on the seventh day during the creation week. Not keeping this Sabbath day holy was, you guessed it, punishable by death in the old days. Sabbath is actually Saturday, not Sunday, like a lot of people think.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't some religions practice it on Saturdays and some is on Sundays?
Mm-hmm. That's right.
Wonder why.
But don't worry, the New Testament changed all this because Jesus is described as pointing out to the Jews their misunderstanding of the Mosaic law by making observance of the Sabbath more rigorous than God had commanded. Jesus said it is not, in fact, unlawful to eat on the Sabbath. It is not unlawful to do good on the Sabbath day. Healing was a work of mercy, and Jesus, portrayed as the Lord of the Sabbath, was merciful. So in other words, back in the old days, you were not supposed to work on the Sabbath. I think a lot of people didn't eat as well.
Mm-hmm.
You were just supposed to sit inside and pray all day. Jesus said, nah, you guys are taking that shit way too seriously. You can eat a little bit. You can work a little bit. Some also believe that when Jesus was crucified, he saved us from our sins. Of course, thank you, Jesus. God bless you, Jesus. So indebted to you. But also that it became unnecessary to hold the Sabbath, in such regard.
Oh, yeah.
I take this to mean people from the Old Testament days were sick of doing this Sabbath shit, so they said, how can we kind of tweak this in the New Testament to make this a little more chill?
Well, the whole point of Jesus dying on the cross was he forgave all of our sins so we can still sin and still go to heaven or whatever. So sure, we do whatever the fuck we want.
The sin came from who, by the way? Who created sin?
Himself. God.
Mm-hmm. I'm just asking questions.
Yep.
Alex, do you keep the Sabbath day holy?
Absolutely not. Normally I do. I really don't do shit on Sundays.
Well,
I guess I go grocery shopping, and I do laundry. So I guess you're right, yeah.
Whoa.
Doing a lot of work on Sundays.
Damn. I'm taken aback by that. When you were a kid, we were both religious, as we've established.
Mm-hmm.
Despite being religious, I would get so done with going to church every Sunday morning. Because, you're a kid, It's your weekend, you have to wake up early on Sunday, get dressed up, go to church. I often, pretended to be sick and shit.
Yeah.
But I would always feel guilty, like I was going to get punished by God for doing that, which is built into the whole religion. You're afraid to do anything because you don't want to get punished.
Right. So me growing up in church, every now and then, my dad would wake us up extra early to go to the fucking early service. That was the worst. I don't know if you guys had an early service or not.
Yeah, we did.
It was early service, Sunday school, late service. And normally we would go to Sunday school, then late service. But every fucking once in a while, Dad would be like, all right, we're going to early service today. With all the fucking old people. That was the worst.
Fucking dads, they're the worst.
Yeah.
My church also did Sunday night. My family would only do that maybe 1 out of every 4 Sundays.
Yeah.
But I definitely knew people that went every Sunday morning to Sunday school, Sunday service, and then Sunday night service. And then you also had Wednesday night service.
It's a lot of services.
It's a lot of God.
We do the Wednesday nights too.
But I don't know why I need God that much when he's in my butt at all times. I don't need to go see him in church.
He's just right there. You just got to bend over and give it a little toot and he'll come right out.
Whoa, Alex. Don't pretend to know my relationship with God, what we do and don't do.
He works in mysterious ways.
Hey, Paranormies. I'm Brittany.
And I'm Alexa.
And we're the hosts of They Don't Stay Dead.
We're a paranormal podcast from Australia, and we've made it our mission to share with you all the real-life ghost stories and haunted locations from our home, as well as encounters with supernatural beings and reports of unknown mysteries.
From haunted asylums and ghost ships to big cat cryptids and alien encounters, there's something for everyone. We release new episodes every Thursday, and you can find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Be sure to check out our Instagram at They Don't Stay Dead for weekly updates. We get a little bit spooky and a lot silly. So join us for some laughs and a tale of the unknown.
Stay spooky, Paranormies.
A blank page holds infinite possibilities. It stirs our passions and is a space to become. Papier takes all the wonder and potential of a blank page and creates premium quality stationery, journals, notebooks, planners, and more. Each product is crafted with thoughtful details and gorgeous hand-drawn designs. Each page is as special as the thoughts you put in them. Best of all, their products can be personalized for free to be uniquely yours or to make an unforgettable gift for someone in your life. Papier's high-quality notebooks are a beautiful place to keep your notes, ideas, and memories. And with their undated planners, you can organize and track life at your own pace. Make each day noteworthy for yourself or someone you love with Papier. Visit papier.com for 10% off your first order. That's 10% off at papier.com.
My little brother's friends have been camped out at our place for 2 days straight.
3.
It's because of the Xfinity 10G network. Internet that can handle a house full of screens at once, with basically no interruptions. And it's only getting faster. When I was their age, internet like this was a pipe dream.
You sound like my grandpa.
Please go home.
Introducing the next generation 10G network, only from Xfinity. Restrictions apply, not available in all areas.
All right, let's recap the list.
Okay.
You got number 7, don't do adultery. 6, don't murder. 4, keep the Sabbath day holy. 2, don't do idols. 1, don't have any other fucking gods before me, fam. So what else you got?
Give me a hint for number 3, another one that shows our jealous God.
If I were to say, God damn it, Alex. What is that?
No cursing? Thou shalt not
You shall not take the Lord's name in vain.
Oh, Lord's name in vain. I knew that one.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 7 says, You shall not take the name of the Lord your God in vain, for the Lord will not hold him guiltless who takes his name in vain. And this has been extended. When I was growing up, I was told that this commandment was also referring to cuss words. So like saying shit, damn, fuck, ass, bitch, pussy, cunt, bastard, jackass, asshole, dick, cock.
I think you got them all.
All of those would be included.
Now, why though? I mean, fuck isn't a nickname for God.
I was told that everything in the world is created by God. So to use fuck as a curse word is, I guess,
who said they're bad words? Where did that come from?
That's a good question.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
When you were growing up, did your parents also say that other words were bad words that would not cuss words? Trying to think of an example.
Sucks.
Yeah, that sucks.
I wasn't allowed to say sucks.
Yep, I couldn't say that.
I wasn't allowed to say God dang it.
I couldn't call people stupid, things like that.
I wasn't allowed to say oh my God. It was always oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Hell, unless I was talking about the place, hell.
Right. Wild.
It's wild, man. Some have interpreted this commandment to be against perjury, specifically, since invoking God's name in an oath was considered a guarantee of the truth. Other scholars believe the original intent was to prohibit using the name in the magical practice of conjuration. So no using God's name to conjure up spells and demons and shit.
Oh, fuck. Those are all the best spells, too.
In his Sermon on the Mount, Jesus himself taught that one's word should be reliable and that one should not swear by God or his creation. So you are not allowed to say, I swear to God, Alex, I don't have Jesus in my butt. Because you should take my word that I don't have Jesus in my butt. But by the way, I do have Jesus in my butt.
I can get down with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we've got through all the 4 first commandments that are all about how great God is.
I'll be honest, those are all pretty lame.
They're all lame.
Yeah.
But number 5 is the lamest. Well, actually, I think the name in vain probably is the lamest. This is the second lamest. Who had the biggest influence in your life as a child besides God?
Probably a cartoon character or something.
No. I mean people in your home.
Oh, my dad. Oh, honor your father and mother.
Honor your father and mother.
I knew
That's
that
exactly
one.
Right.
Yep.
Did you? Because I just fucking gave it to you and then you claimed that you knew it. Okay. Whatever.
My parents used this one on me a lot growing up.
I heard this one too.
Any sort of disrespect was quickly rebutted by the 5th commandment.
That's exactly what it is. It's in Exodus chapter 20, verse 12. Honor your father and your mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God is giving you. Dishonoring parents by striking or cursing them was punishable by death. So if you cursed at your parents, you could be put to death. Which is so crazy because it's just his word versus, it's your word versus theirs.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But if you had a witness or two that could corroborate that you cursed at your parents, your ass is getting stoned to death.
You're fucking done.
God works in mysterious ways. Part of his plan.
Yep.
But the clause in the commandment that says, so that you may live long, could be interpreted as so that you are not put to death. In Judaism, honoring does not depend on the worthiness of the parent. It says, quote, even if his father is wicked and a sinner, he must fear and revere him. A convert to Judaism must not curse or despise his non-Jewish father. So this is saying that if your parents are abusive or neglectful, or they're not even your birth parents, or they're sinners themselves, you are still to honor your mother and father.
It's fucked up.
I mean, I guess the intent is good. Like, there's good intentions here, but it's just so easy to fall apart in the real world.
Right.
Not every mother, not every father deserves honor.
Exactly. But I bet you the people that were writing these laws, they're the ones that wanted to abuse their children and get away with it, essentially.
They're the ones who wanted to marry their daughters off at age 10 and sell them and
yeah,
whatever else they did. Like,
trade them for a goat.
Their children were possessions.
Yep.
Especially women.
Yep. Fucked up.
All right, you just need 10, 9, and 8.
I know we guessed adultery already, but is there one that's like you should not covet your neighbor's wife or something like that? Or is that tied in with adultery?
They're related, but number 10 is you shall not covet.
Shall not covet, okay.
Yeah, which includes, because here's what it says in Exodus. It says, you shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife, nor his male servant, nor his female servant, nor his ox, nor his donkey, nor anything that is your neighbor's.
Tell you.
But you know what? They didn't specify, what if he's not your neighbor? What if he lives in the next town over?
Yeah.
Then you can covet all you want.
I covet you all the time, and we live far enough away where that's fine. Sure. Yeah.
I covet that smooth, creamy bum of yours.
No, I was just going to say, I covet that little Jesus that's in your butt.
You too can have a Jesus in your butt. All you got to do is pray hard enough.
Hell yeah.
That's the other thing. We were talking earlier about like praying for God to heal the kid with cancer or whatever.
Yeah.
If you pray hard enough and you beg hard enough, he might take back the thing he did.
And then also on the concept of praying, like God is omniscient. He knows everything. Why you got to fucking tell him? He already knows.
I know. I know. You and I did not grow up Catholic, thank God. But in the Catholic Church, to be forgiven of your sins, you have to go confess to some random ass guy in the confessional. Fuck that.
Yeah, imagine that.
Fuck that.
That'd be some early childhood trauma.
Oh yeah, it's fucking terrible. Stupid.
Yep.
No offense to any of our Catholic listeners, but sorry, it's fucking stupid. So the Hebrew word translation of the word covet is shamad, which is commonly translated into English as covet, lust, or strong desire. Proverbs chapter 6 warns against coveting in the form of sexual lust, says, do not lust in your heart after her beauty, or let her captivate you with her eyes, for the prostitute reduces you to a loaf of bread, and the adulteress preys upon your very life.
Oh shit.
Alex, this must explain why when I look at you, I sometimes get hungry for a loaf of bread.
Yeah.
Have you noticed in that verse that it puts all the onus on the woman?
It always does.
The woman is the one captivating you. She's the one luring you. She's the one preying on you. That's where the rape culture comes from, of thousands of years of saying, well, she was asking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Or she shouldn't have looked at me that way, or she shouldn't have worn that. The only thing that causes rape is a rapist choosing to rape.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
A key point in the Catholic understanding of the 9th commandment is Jesus' statement in the Sermon on the Mount. Everyone who looks at a woman lustfully has already committed adultery with her in his heart. I said that earlier. It's good to know there's no hope for any of us because, like we said, lust is a basic human emotion.
Yep.
Or I don't know if emotion's the word, but whatever. Urge.
Yeah. Urge, desire, biological.
Yeah. Yeah, that's number 10. So you just need 9 and 8.
I know one of them is thou shalt not steal.
Number 8 is you shall not steal. This comes from Exodus chapter 20, verse 15. Steal in this commandment has traditionally been interpreted by Jewish commentaries to refer to the stealing of an actual human being, that is to kidnap. Some Jewish people think that this is talking about kidnapping specifically, but in most uses, the commandment is seen to be interpreted as the unauthorized taking of private property, which is a wrongful action already prohibited elsewhere in the Hebrew Bible. If the thief wasn't able to pay compensation for his theft by selling his things, he was sold as a slave.
Oh.
So if you stole something, Alex, if I stole your little Jesus figurine that you had been keeping in your butt, if I stole that from you and I was caught and I was not able to pay compensation for that, I was sold into slavery.
You're my slave now.
I don't know. That's a lot. I don't think I'm your slave, but it's
No?
possible. It wasn't specific.
Right.
I don't know if the punishment fits the crime there.
No, I disagree. I mean, hot take here. I just don't think that slavery has any place in any sort of rule of law. I know that's a hot take.
You're wrong because it's all over the Bible. Slavery is prevalent throughout the Bible. Although I have to think Jesus didn't have any slaves that we know of, so I don't know. There's another point for Jesus.
Yeah, I wonder what Jesus' stance on slavery was.
He might have said something about it. It's possible. I just don't know off the top of my head. But so if the thief was caught and confessed his sin, he was allowed to return the object and pay a fifth of its price. And he was supposed to bring a ram to the high priest or an equivalent of a ram.
Like a Dodge Ram, like a truck?
Exactly.
Is a Chevy Silverado okay?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's equivalent, yeah.
Yeah, fair.
That might be a hot take. We might be getting some Dodge fans tuning us out right now.
If you drive a Dodge Ram, just fucking unsubscribe from this show.
Yeah. So then the person will be forgiven. So I don't know if you caught all that. The guy has to return what he stole.
Yeah, fair.
Confess his sin.
Okay.
And pay a price. He paid that price and a ram or equivalent from his flock to the priest. The priest then had the power to forgive him. Let's call this what it is. This is an early, ancient way of priests gaining power and giving themselves power to collect your shit.
Yeah. Why does a priest deserve anything? They're not part of this.
Because he's a conduit to God.
Yep.
I don't know. All right. All you have left is number 9.
One more. I'm drawing a blank. You got any hints that won't give it away? Like, what's the topic here? Is it possessions? Is it...
This could come up in a court of law.
Court of law. Should something bear false witness?
You got it. Did you look it up?
No. I just remember it.
Number 9, you shall not bear false witness. Now, what does that mean, Alex?
I have no fucking idea.
Alex. No wonder God forsaked you from his kingdom and you're going to hell.
Yeah, I forsaked him first.
Exodus chapter 20, verse 15, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. Again, we're only talking neighbor here. Next city over, you're in the clear.
Yep.
This commandment forbids bribery and forgery and even the least suggestion contrary to truth. It forbids libel, slander, and backbiting and calls for the truth and nothing but the truth. The ancient understanding of false testimony not only includes testifying with false words, but also failing to come forward with relevant testimony in response to a public charge. Basically, you are not allowed to lie in court. You're not allowed to be a witness to something that you did not see. And to put that further, if you did see something and you are a witness but you don't come forward, that's also breaking the commandment. So Alex, just like you were a witness to Dr. Buster, I don't know.
What did he do?
Fucking humping a... trying to think of something besides booty clapping. Whatever.
What else is there?
He humped a moose. You were a witness to Dr. Buster humping a moose. You didn't come forward. Well, that moose just got you a one-way ticket to hell because you broke a commandment.
Fuck.
Hey, when you break a commandment, I mean, you can come back from that, right? It's not like a you can't be forgiven thing.
I don't know. I mean, it sounds pretty damning, right? I mean, most of these is punishable by death, right? Not all of them, I guess.
Most of them were, yeah. I don't know. Yeah, like if you commit adultery, but then you ask God for forgiveness and he forgives you, are you still fucked or not?
Well, I mean, these days, because the whole, Jesus died for our sins and all that shit. It's not like these are like unforgivable anymore. Back in the day, I think they were.
I think blasphemy is still the one unbargainable sin. Isn't that what they call it?
Oh, I don't know. Blasphemy's my fucking middle name, though. Alex Blasphemy Johns.
Fuck. You're often pretending to be God. All right, so you shall not bear false witness. I was saying the last thing I have is according to the New Testament, Jesus explains that obedience to the prohibition against false testimony from the Ten Commandments is a requirement for eternal life. Well, there you go. That might be.
Okay.
This is New Testament. This is Jesus. He says, basically, if you break this commandment, you can't have eternal life. Because according to Jesus, false testimony comes from the sinful desires of the heart and makes people unclean.
More so than fucking murder?
I don't make the rules, bub.
Yeah, whatever.
God wrote these with his big ol' hand. He had just finished jerking off to himself before Moses got up there on the 40th day at the top of the mountain, and he said, oh, He probably wrote it in his jizz, actually. He didn't carve the stone. He just wrote with his jizz on the stone.
Right.
And it dried.
I got to tell you, Nick, I wouldn't go this route if I were writing 10 Commandments.
Oh, no?
No. I like maybe like 2 or 3 of them, but I could think of much better commandments than this.
Me too, but also, why is asshole God making Moses? He's an old man at this point. He's been in the desert 40 years. He's climbing up a mountain for 40 days. Just fucking tell him.
Yeah.
Just fucking give him the stones.
Yeah.
Do it like Mormonism, where Joseph Smith found the golden plates in his backyard and they were already there.
Well, no, it was the fucking the angel Moroni fucking came down from heaven and handed him to him.
Yeah, he didn't have to do any work for that.
Yeah, and then he goes and tells his buddies he won't show it to him. No, he can't ever see him because the angel Moroni took him back to heaven. But no, he fucking got all the good info there.
And he remembered them all and he transcribed them to other people.
Him in his magic underwear.
Dude, the story of Mormonism.
I fucking love it.
We should do an episode on that because it's fucking wild. And it's crazy that the whole basis of the religion is what we just said.
I know. One of the wealthiest religions in the world, too.
We're making all kinds of friends today on the pod.
Yep.
So I guess we should apologize to every single religious person listening, but they're probably not listening anymore.
Yeah, they've probably tuned us out.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, by now, like, do you even have any religious listeners?
I don't know, but I invite them to sign up for TennishPod Plus at tennishpod.com/plus. Alex, what would your number 1 commandment be? Actually, you know what? Before you answer that, let me go back through the top 10. And while I read it, I want you to think about which of these should stay on like a modern list of 10 commandments and which should go. Okay. Number 10, you shall not covet. Number 9, you shall not bear false witness. Number 8, you shall not steal. Number 7, you shall not commit adultery. Which, by the way, I'm sure that was designed, that commandment, to keep women from having affairs on their husband, not the other way around.
Right.
Number 6, you shall not murder. Seems like it should be higher. Number 5, honor your father and your mother. Number 4, keep the Sabbath day holy. Chick-fil-A is safe there.
Yep.
Number 3, you shall not take the Lord's name in vain. God damn it. Number 2, you shall not make no idols. And number 1, you shall have no other gods before me.
All right, so here's my feedback. I'll kind of go through one by one and just here's my thoughts.
Okay.
Shall not covet, that's bullshit. You can covet all you want. That's not a problem.
Hot take.
Bear false witness, that's okay. I basically just like, don't lie. I can get on board with that.
Don't lie. But what do you think about the kind of add-on that says, like, if you are a witness to something and you do not come forward, that's breaking a commandment?
I think it's one of those, like, yeah, you should come forward, but, like, it shouldn't be you're breaking the law by not, you know?
Yeah,
I don't know.
That's what it was.
Yeah.
It's, like, kind of a touchy subject, but, like, in today's world, if someone was a victim of, let's pull Bill Cosby. Bill Cosby raped a lot of women.
Yep.
And if one of those women did not come forward as a witness, that woman would be breaking the law in the way this commandment is written.
Oh, yeah.
And sometimes that woman is not ready to come forward. Like,
right.
So it's touchy.
So anyway, I think there's some legs with this one, but it needs to be reworked.
Yeah. Agreed.
Number 8, shall not steal. I'm on board with that. Don't steal.
Yep.
Number 7, shall not commit adultery. So this is another one where it's got some legs, but it definitely needs a rework. Maybe something more like honor the commitments you make to your significant other, you know? Some marriages are into fucking sleeping outside of the marriage. And if that's a consenting relationship, that's cool.
But even without mutual consent, it should not be punishable by death, which is not in America anyway.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think we've modernized this one.
So, shall not murder, fine with that. I'd take away the exception for war. If you're going to criminalize murder, just fucking do the whole thing.
So you think that people that have killed someone in war should be held accountable?
No, I think the leaders of that war should be held accountable.
The leaders. Okay,
yeah.
That I agree with.
Yeah. So, honor your father and mother, I think that's bullshit. Throw it out.
Yep.
Keep the Sabbath holy.
Oh, we got to keep that one.
I mean,
got to keep that one in.
I'm okay with the day off, you know? Like, maybe tone it down a little bit, you know, just make like chill on the Sabbath day or
it's not a day off, it's a day of praising God and fasting and shit. Like,
yeah, chill out a little bit, you know, don't make it a holy day, just make it a day of rest, you know? I'm just chilling.
Okay.
So, anyway, Lord's name in vain, throw it out.
Throw it out.
No other idols, throw it out. No other gods, throw it out.
You think the golden calf is okay?
Yeah, let him praise the calf.
Let him booty clap to the golden calf?
Yeah, they're not hurting no one.
Yeah.
Except for God's little small ego.
And no other gods before me? That's a hot take, Alex. That's the most important one to God.
Throw it out. Useless.
Throw it out. Okay, so what we have left then on Alex's 10 Commandments is don't murder.
Yep.
A revised version of don't commit adultery.
Yep.
Don't steal.
Yep.
And a revised version of don't bear false witness.
Yeah. So 6 through 9.
4 out of 10.
6 through 9 was they were on the right track.
Yeah. Okay.
I would add a few, like don't rape. I think that would definitely be one.
What else?
Fuck, I don't know.
How about like don't abuse children? I don't know.
Yeah, it's rework the honor of thy father and mother and to fucking treat your children with respect.
The children are the ones that need to be protected, not the parents.
Yeah, right. But the children are the ones writing the laws.
Well, that's probably a good thing that the children aren't writing the laws. Yeah. I think the biggest sin of all is not blasphemy. It's not breaking any of these commandments. It's not supporting Tennis Podcast. And you can do that in a lot of ways. You can rate and review us Apple Podcasts, Podchaser, GoodPod, Spotify. You can also become a Tennis Pod Plus member at tennispod.com/plus. Or in the Apple Podcast app, there's also Tennis Pod Plus on there. And the easiest thing to do, if you don't want to do any of that, is just follow us on social media. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Reddit, all those at Tennis Pod. There's also links to each of those in the show notes.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Alex, have I restored your faith in God during this episode?
I'm a devout believer in your bullshit.
Sounds good. Alex, thanks for being here. Until next time, amen.
Amen.
And God bless.
Bye, everybody.